Have you ever opened the refrigerator door in the morning, looking for a light snack, and spotted a container of leftovers from last night's dinner? It still looks good, the aroma is still there, and that familiar thought pops into your head. It looks fine. It should be safe to eat. It's a scene that plays out in almost every household. In the US, we call these leftovers, and reusing them has become a common habit. It saves money, reduces waste, and sometimes even brings a warm sense of comfort, like enjoying a slice of pie from Thanksgiving, or savoring that roasted chicken from a family gathering. But here's the truth most people overlook. If those leftovers aren't stored and handled properly, your fridge can turn into a breeding ground for bacteria. And for people over 60, one unsafe bite isn't just a minor discomfort. It can become a serious health crisis. When you're young, your body can fight off most of the bacteria you encounter. But after 60, your immune system slows down. Your stomach produces less acid, and you lose some of your body's natural defenses. Just a small amount of Listeria, Salmonella, or E. coli can lead to severe consequences. Prolonged diarrhea, dehydration, gastroenteritis, or even life-threatening bloodstream infections. I once heard the story of Jim, a 68-year-old man from Texas. After a family barbecue, he left a container of smoked meat in the refrigerator for 5 days. It still looked delicious, the aroma still tempting. But just a few hours after eating it, he was struck with severe stomach cramps and relentless vomiting. The hospital confirmed he had been infected with Listeria, a bacteria that can survive and thrive even in cold storage. Jim spent nearly a week in the hospital and took more than a month to fully recover. Jim's story is far from rare. According to the CDC, each year in the US, there are about 48 million cases of foodborne illness, resulting in over 3,000 deaths. And the majority of these victims are older adults. The danger is that many people never suspect the culprit could be sitting right inside their own refrigerator. Today, we're going to uncover the 5 most dangerous mistakes people make when it comes to eating leftovers. Mistakes even the most careful folks might be guilty of. More importantly, you'll learn how to protect yourself and your loved ones from risks that may seem invisible, but are all too real. One of the most common misconceptions is this: once it's in the fridge, it's safe forever. In many households, containers of leftovers sit quietly in the back of the refrigerator for an entire week. Sometimes so long that you can't even remember when you put them there. But the truth is very different. The refrigerator doesn't kill bacteria, it only slows them down. It's like hitting the pause button on a clock. The hands can still start moving again at any time. And at typical fridge temperatures, certain dangerous bacteria like Listeria monocytogenes can still grow silently. The FDA is clear about this. Cooked food should be kept in the refrigerator for no more than 3 to 4 days. Beyond that, the risk of bacterial growth increases significantly, even if there's no strange smell or visible change in appearance. Why is this especially dangerous for people over 60? Because at this age, your sense of taste and smell is often less sharp, and your immune system is weaker, making it harder for your body to fight off bacteria. Even worse, food poisoning symptoms in older adults don't always appear right away. They can develop quietly, just a wave of fatigue, maybe a bit of nausea, and by the time you realize something's wrong, the illness has already become serious. Think about it. How many times have you, or someone in your family, tried to finish off that roast beef, that pot of soup, or that tray of pasta just because you thought, it's probably fine? And how many times after that did someone end up with a stomachache or diarrhea without ever knowing the real cause? The story of Linda, a 74-year-old from Ohio, is a memorable example. After her grandson's birthday party, she kept a tray of seafood salad in the refrigerator. 3 days later, she took it out. It still looked fresh and chilled. But just a few hours after eating it, she began experiencing severe stomach cramps and a high fever. At the hospital, doctors confirmed she had been infected with Vibrio parahemolyticus, a type of bacteria commonly found in seafood that hasn't been stored within the safe time frame. The doctor told her that if she had eaten it just 1 day earlier, her risk of illness would have been much lower. Keeping food for too long doesn't just cause food poisoning. It can also lead to the formation of harmful breakdown compounds that damage the liver, kidneys, and digestive tract. This is a hidden threat to older adults' health, one they often don't realize until it's too late. Simple but effective solutions. When storing leftovers, label them with the date they were cooked or stored. If you don't plan to eat them within 3 days, freeze them immediately to extend their shelf life. And most importantly, if you're not sure how long something has been in the fridge, throw it out. A few dollars worth of food is nothing compared to the value of your health. So next time you open the fridge and see something that's been sitting there too long, remember, sometimes throwing it away is the best way to protect yourself. This may seem like a harmless habit, but it carries serious risks, especially for those over 60. I'm sure this will sound familiar. You take leftovers out of the fridge, heat them up for a meal, but only eat part of it. The rest cools down and goes back into the fridge. The next day, you repeat the process. Sometimes that same dish might go in and out of the refrigerator 3 or 4 times before it's finally gone. It might seem fine, but each time this happens, the food goes through a dangerous temperature shift. From the safety of cold storage, it enters the range between 40 to 140 degrees, Fahrenheit 5 to 60 degrees C. The danger zone where bacteria thrive. The more often food moves in and out of that zone, the higher the risk of bacterial contamination. According to USDA research, bacteria such as Clostridium perfringens, one of the most common causes of foodborne illness in the US, can double in number in as little as 20 minutes in the danger zone. Even worse, this type of bacteria can survive reheating if the food doesn't reach a high enough temperature. For younger people, the immune system can sometimes handle small amounts of these bacteria. But for older adults, even a tiny amount can lead to serious illness, causing acute diarrhea, dehydration, electrolyte imbalances, and in some cases, hospitalization. The story of Robert, a 70-year-old from Pennsylvania, is a clear example. After a dinner of beef stew, he stored the leftovers in the fridge. The next day, he reheated half and put the rest back in. He repeated this process for 3 days. On the 4th day, he suffered severe stomach cramps, fever, and vomiting. Doctors confirmed he had been infected with Clostridium perfringens. The irony? If Robert had just reheated the food once and finished it, he could have avoided the illness entirely. Why is reheating multiple times so dangerous? Each time you reheat food, if it doesn't reach an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit Celsius, the bacteria inside are not fully destroyed. Once the food cools and goes back into the fridge, those bacteria remain alive. The next time you reheat it, if the temperature still isn't high enough, the bacteria will survive again and keep multiplying. This cycle can cause the bacterial count to grow much faster than you might think. Safe solutions. When reheating, Only take out the portion you plan to eat. Keep the rest in the fridge. Don't keep taking it out and putting it back in. Make sure the food reaches an internal temperature of 165 degrees, 75 degrees, and stays there for at least 1 full minute. Carry a large batch, divide it into smaller containers from the start, so you can reheat each portion separately without affecting the rest. Remember, the convenience of stretching out leftovers isn't worth a risk to your health, especially at an age when even a single illness can take a long time to recover from. Letting food cool too long before refrigerating. Many people still believe that food must cool completely before going into the refrigerator, worried that the steam will damage the fridge or waste electricity. This is a very common misconception, and it's also the cause of thousands of food poisoning cases every year, especially among older adults. The problem is this: when food sits at room temperature for too long, you're giving bacteria the perfect opportunity to multiply. The danger zone for bacterial growth is between 40 and 40, when just 2 hours in this range is enough for bacteria to reach dangerous levels. If the room temperature is above 90 degrees, as it often is in many US states during summer, the safe window drops to just 1 hour. For people over 60, this risk is even greater. A weaker immune system means the body doesn't respond as quickly to threats, and early symptoms of food poisoning, like fatigue or nausea, are easily mistaken for other health issues. This delay in diagnosis can lead to serious complications. A CDC study found that among cases of Clostridium perfringens, a bacteria that multiplies rapidly when food is left out too long, more than 50% of patients were over the age of 65. Many of them ended up hospitalized, all because of a meal that seemed perfectly harmless at the time. The story of Martha, a 66-year-old from Arizona, is a perfect example. During a family barbecue, she left a tray of grilled chicken sitting outside for nearly 3 hours before putting it in the fridge. She assumed that because the chicken was cooked, it would be safe. But that very night, she began suffering from severe stomach cramps and relentless diarrhea. Doctors confirmed she had been infected with Clostridium perfringens. Just one afternoon of carelessness cost her nearly a full week of recovery. Why is letting food cool too long so dangerous? While cooling at room temperature, bacteria don't just survive, they multiply rapidly. Some bacteria produce heat-resistant toxins, meaning that even if you reheat the food, the toxins remain and can still make you sick. Older adults produce less stomach acid, making it easier for bacteria to survive and travel deeper into the digestive tract. Safe solutions. For hot food, divide it into shallow containers so the heat disperses quickly, reducing cooling time. Refrigerate within 2 hours of cooking, or within 1 hour if it's hot outside. For large batches, place the containers in an ice bath to speed up cooling before storage. Avoid leaving food to cool in deep pots or large trays. The center will hold heat longer, creating the perfect environment for bacteria. And remember, food safety starts the moment you turn off the stove. Cooling food quickly and storing it properly doesn't just protect the meal, it protects your health. Storing food in the wrong containers. Have you ever noticed the variety of containers in your fridge? Everything from takeout boxes and empty ice cream tubs to thin plastic bags. Many people assume that as long as food is covered, it's safe, but the truth is far more complicated. First problem, the material of the container. Some plastics, especially those reused multiple times, can contain BPA, bisphenol A, or phthalates, chemicals that can leach into food, particularly when heated in the microwave. Studies in the US have linked BPA exposure to hormonal disruptions, high blood pressure, and even an increased risk of cancer. For older adults, the body is more sensitive to these effects because liver and kidney function naturally decline with age, reducing the ability to filter out toxins. Second problem, how well it's sealed. If a container isn't airtight, food can absorb odors, lose moisture, and most importantly, become cross-contaminated by other items in the fridge. This is especially risky if the fridge contains both raw and cooked foods. Just one slice of raw meat stored near an uncovered salad can leave that salad crawling with E. coli bacteria without you ever realizing it. Third problem, using containers that aren't heat safe. Many people store food in cheap plastic containers and then reheat it directly in the microwave. When exposed to high heat, unsafe plastics can release harmful chemicals into your food. This is a hidden danger that's hard to detect, but over time, it can have a serious impact on your health. The story of Harold, a 72-year-old from Oregon, is a clear reminder. He often reused plastic soup containers from restaurants to store and reheat his food. Over time, he began experiencing persistent stomach discomfort. Tests revealed irritation in his stomach lining, and his doctor suspected it was caused by chemicals leaching from low-quality plastic when heated. Since switching to glass containers and BPA-free plastic with tight-fitting lids, his condition has improved significantly. Safe solutions. Invest in glass containers or BPA-free plastic with secure lids. Store raw and cooked foods separately. Keep cooked food on the top shelves and raw food on the bottom. Never reuse plastic containers from store-bought products for long-term storage. When reheating, if you don't have a heat-safe container, transfer the food to a safe dish before heating. If you found this information helpful and want to continue receiving tips to protect your health after 60, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're here to help you live healthier, safer, and stronger every single day. Relying on sight and smell to judge food safety. This is probably the most common mistake people make, especially older generations. Without even realizing it, you open a container of food, glance at the color, take a quick sniff, and decide, smells fine, looks fine, must be safe to eat. This habit comes from a time when refrigeration wasn't widely available. Back then, look, smell, taste was the only way to judge whether food was still good. But times have changed, and so have bacteria. In fact, bacteria today can be far more deceptive. Here's the problem. Not all harmful bacteria change the smell, taste, or appearance of food. Listeria monocytogenes is a prime example. It can survive and grow in cold temperatures without causing any visible or noticeable signs. That means you could be eating food loaded with dangerous bacteria while believing it's perfectly safe. According to the CDC, there are thousands of listeria infections in the US every year, and over 90% of serious cases occur in adults over 65. Listeria doesn't just cause diarrhea or stomach pain. It can lead to bloodstream infections, meningitis, and in some cases, death. The story of Evelyn, a 69-year-old from California, is a clear warning. She took a container of salad from the fridge, leftovers from lunch 2 days earlier. The salad looked fresh, smelled fine. She ate a portion and felt fine for several hours. But that night, she developed a high fever, severe headache, and dizziness. At the hospital, doctors confirmed she was infected with listeria. What shocked her most was that the salad had looked perfect, with no sign whatsoever that it had gone bad. Why can't your senses be trusted? Some harmful bacteria don't produce any odor or visible changes in food. Some bacteria produce heat-resistant toxins that are not destroyed even after reheating. Older adults often have a diminished sense of smell and taste making it even harder to detect spoiled food. Safe solutions. Always follow the recommended storage times. Don't rely on your senses alone. Label each container with the date it was stored. Discard any food that has exceeded its safe storage time, even if it looks fine. Never taste test to check safety. Even a single spoonful of contaminated food can make you sick. Remember, food safety is not a game of chance. Don't let your senses, which can easily be fooled, decide your health. Long-term health consequences. Many people think food poisoning is nothing more than a stomachache, a few bouts of vomiting, and then you're fine in a couple of days. But for those over 60, it's not that simple. At this stage of life, the body is like a machine that has been running for decades. Every part works more slowly, more delicately, and every hit leaves a mark that's harder to erase. Food poisoning in older adults can lead to serious complications. Severe dehydration. Older adults often feel less thirsty, so when diarrhea or vomiting strikes repeatedly, they can quickly slip into acute dehydration. In seniors, dehydration can cause low blood pressure, irregular heartbeat, and even kidney failure. Electrolyte imbalances. Losing too much sodium, potassium, and magnesium affects the nervous system and muscles. In severe cases, this can trigger seizures or cardiac arrest. Aspiration pneumonia. If an older adult vomits while lying down, stomach contents can enter the lungs, leading to aspiration pneumonia, a dangerous and hard-to-treat condition with a high fatality rate in people over 65. Long-term immune system decline. A severe bacterial infection can weaken the immune system significantly, leaving the body more vulnerable to other illnesses. Impact on the heart and brain. Severe infection and dehydration can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke in those with existing cardiovascular conditions. According to CDC statistics, each year in the United States, about 48 million people get foodborne illnesses, more than 128,000 are hospitalized, and around 3,000 die. The striking fact is that adults over 65 account for the majority of these deaths. The story of Samuel, a 71-year-old from Minnesota, is a clear example. Just from eating a serving of chicken soup that had been in the fridge for 5 days, he suffered severe food poisoning, which led to dehydration and acute kidney failure. Although he received timely treatment, his kidney function never returned to its original level. From being a healthy man, he now lives with a strict renal diet and must undergo regular kidney checkups for the rest of his life. This shows that for older adults, one small accident with leftovers can leave a lifelong mark. It's not just about the time and money spent on treatment, it directly impacts quality of life. No longer being able to eat freely, declining overall health, and living with constant anxiety about whether the next meal might make you sick. Remember, food poisoning doesn't just steal a few days of good health. It can take away years of peace and well-being in your later life. Safe food storage for adults over 60. After the age of 60, the body can no longer tolerate small mistakes in food storage the way it could when you were younger. That's why leftover storage needs to be done with the same care you'd give to storing medication. Right type, right timing, and the right method. Here are the golden rules to ensure leftovers are stored as safely as possible for older adults. 1. Label the storage date. Why? We often forget exactly when food was put away, especially when the fridge is full. Labeling helps you easily see which items need to be eaten first and which have expired. How? Use masking tape and a marker to write the date. For example, roast chicken 8/12 means it was stored on August 12th. Example, Mary, a 68-year-old from Florida, used to label food just to stay organized. But thanks to this habit, she once caught a piece of salmon that had been in the fridge for 5 days, just before her son was about to eat it. 2. Portion leftovers before storing. Why? Smaller portions cool faster, reducing the time food spends in the danger zone. 40 to 145 to 60 degrees Celsius. Plus, when reheating, you only take what you need, avoiding repeated trips in and out of the fridge. How? Use shallow containers, each sized for 1 or 2 servings. Example, a large tray of lasagna divided into 4 small containers means you can reheat just 1 portion while keeping the rest perfectly safe. 3. Keep your refrigerator below 40 frigidgrade, 4 degrees Celsius. Why? This is the temperature at which harmful bacteria struggle to grow. Any warmer and the safe storage time drops significantly. How? Use a fridge thermometer to check regularly. Don't rely on how cold it feels by touch, because that's not accurate. Example, one family in Texas kept their fridge at 46 degrees to save on electricity, but their food stayed safe for only 1-2 days, instead of the usual 3-4 days. Store cooked food on the top shelf. Why? The top shelf keeps it safe from cross-contamination with raw food, which is usually stored on lower shelves to prevent raw meat juices from dripping down. Example, a salad placed under a tray of raw meat that drips onto it could end up containing millions of E. coli bacteria, even if it still looks perfectly fresh. 5. Clean your refrigerator regularly. Why? Bacteria and mold can live on shelves and drawers, ready to jump to your fresh food. How? Wipe down shelves and drawers at least once a month using warm water mixed with baking soda or vinegar. Example, a study by NSF International found that the produce drawers in many household refrigerators contained more bacteria than a bathroom doorknob. Message: storing food the right way doesn't just make your leftovers last longer, it helps you live longer. After age 60, every time you throw away food that's past its safe limit, you're throwing away the risk of illness, and that's always the right choice. Healthy eating habits to prevent waste. And food poisoning. Prevention is always better than cure. And when it comes to leftovers, the best way to protect your health isn't trying to fix spoiled food. It's changing your eating habits from the start, so you don't have to store food for too long in the first place. After age 60, our bodies can no longer handle mistakes in our diet as well as they used to. Even one episode of food poisoning can take weeks, or even months, to fully recover from. That's why building healthy eating habits can help you avoid waste and keep your health safe. 1. Cook just enough and finish it the same day. Why? The less leftover food you have, the lower the risk of improper storage or accidentally eating something spoiled. How? If you're unsure about portions, cook a little less than you think you'll need. You can always add a simple dish if you're still hungry. Example, Susan, 67, from Ohio, used to cook extra so she wouldn't have to cook again soon. But after throwing away leftovers a few times, she started making just enough for each meal and found she was saving money while reducing her risk of illness. 2. Get creative with safe leftovers. Why? Some dishes can be transformed into something new within 24 to 48 hours, delicious and still safe to eat. How? Roast chicken today can become chicken salad tomorrow. Leftover rice can be turned into vegetable fried rice. Note: only do this with food that's still within its safe storage time and has been stored correctly. Example: a family in California often turns leftover roast chicken into hearty chicken and vegetable soup. Warm, comforting, and waste-free. 3. Eat a varied and balanced diet. Why? A varied diet boosts immunity, supports digestion, and reduces the risk of chronic illness. How? Include protein, starches, vegetables, and fruit in every meal. Avoid stocking your fridge with only greasy or overly sweet foods. Example, a simple lunch of baked salmon, green salad, and roasted sweet potatoes is not only tasty, but also easier to store safely. 4. Don't eat just to avoid waste. Why? Your health is worth far more than a few dollars worth of food. Forcing yourself to eat something that's past its safe date, just because you don't want to waste it, is one of the leading causes of foodborne illness among older adults. Example, Thomas, 70, from Michigan, ended up in the hospital after eating a beef stew that had been sitting in the fridge for 5 days, just so it wouldn't go to waste. After that, he said, you can always earn back the money you spent, but you can't get back your health. 5. Let go of the guilt when throwing away spoiled food. Why? Many people feel bad about tossing food. But remember, you're throwing away bacteria and potential illness, not just a meal. How? Think of it as an act of self-protection, just like discarding expired medicine. Consider your fridge as the gatekeeper of your health. Keep only the foods that are truly safe and nourishing. Every meal should be a balance of nutrition, safety, and zero waste. That's not only a smart habit for your own well-being, it's also a responsible choice for your family and the environment. You know, the refrigerator in your kitchen isn't just a place to store food, it's a keeper of memories, family meals, and cherished stories. Inside there might be the roast chicken from last Sunday's dinner, a slice of apple pie from your granddaughter's birthday, or a bowl of warm soup left over from a rainy afternoon. Each dish carries love, care, and sometimes a touch of regret when it has to be thrown away. But after 60, the most valuable thing isn't keeping every meal, it's keeping your health, so you can continue enjoying those precious moments with your family. No leftover, no matter how special the memory, is worth trading for days in the hospital or long-term health problems. Remember, health isn't something we keep forever. It has to be protected every single day, starting with the smallest choices. Storing food properly, eating wisely, and letting go of what's unsafe. That's not waste. That's a wise investment in the peaceful, healthy years ahead. If today you open your fridge and decide to throw away something that's past its safe date, think of it as an act of love toward yourself. And when you follow the principles we've just talked about, you're not only protecting yourself, you're also protecting the people you love, the ones who want you healthy so you can keep sharing meals, stories, and laughter together. And if you found this information helpful, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We'll keep bringing you tips and insights to help you live healthier, happier, and more fully at any age. Because every healthy day after 60 isn't just one more day to live. It's one more day to love, to enjoy, and to create beautiful memories